All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Another great day for another Rocket Lab launch. We are at launch 65, Loves, Virginia, for BlackSky Gen 3. Full stream ahead. So shout out to Gurjob. It's his first time watching the launch itself. I know you've been in some of the streams as of lately, supporting Rocket Lab Weekly. Much appreciated, mi amigo, and glad that you're able to catch a launch. Sometimes they're pretty early, you know. Sometimes, yeah. Sorry, I'm like in the zone, getting lost with the space music. So apologies with respect to that. I will turn it down. Always a great day to be here. Always a great day to be able to have a launch, and as always, should be a good time. Currently 11:35 a.m. in New Zealand. It is 6:36 p.m. here Central Time, 7:35-ish, 7:36-ish p.m. Eastern. I'm assuming we're going to get it at the top of the hour or around the top of the hour. These guys have generally been a little bit quicker. They generally start the streams once you get to T-minus 18 minutes or so. So that way they have an opportunity to give some context, have an opportunity to kind of go through and do some marketing. And then they're able to go through the T-minus 12. They start the go, no-go sequence, which is typical. And then we'll get a kind of another few discussions. I'm sure they're going to go through BlackSky's Gen 3. What is it? This is the 10th launch for BlackSky. So it'll be a good time. Good job. Thank you so much, my friend. Unnecessary, but appreciated. As always, we got Mr. Fool's Gold in here, the myth, the legend himself. We got RT1. We got Junebug. We got Josiah. Who else we got? We got Randall. Thank you for continuing to support. We got Midwest. We got Mike K. Always a good time in here. Did I miss anybody? I think I saw Miss Julie in here. Hey, Miss Julie, as well. Thank you guys for continuing to support. As always, a launch, man. What else can you want from a beautiful Monday start to the week? I'm curious to see a little bit if they have some good details about what specifically is going on. I'm listening in the background, so if they kick this off, I'm not going to lose you guys, and we're not going to miss anything, I promise. But BlackSky's introducing their Gen 3 next generation of satellites, enhanced capabilities to meet mission-critical needs, mission-critical timelines, hourly revisits, very high-resolution imagery, and AI-enabled outputs delivered at industry-leading speed, track assets, detect changes faster, more frequently, more clarity, so you can act fast with confidence. This is a Gen 3 Insight, AI-enabled analytics highlighting vessels, vehicles over Victoria in Cape Town, South Africa, delivered 3 weeks after launch. First light images from the first Gen 3 satellites over Sydney Airport. That's pretty cool. Those are pretty high res. Very high resolution first light image over Sydney Harbor Bridge. And the satellite constellation featuring a 35 centimeter resolution, multispectral, shortwave, infrared, AI-enabled analytics, etc. Very interesting to kind of see. I hear some very, very important things going on in my ears. Let's turn it over to the stream. Let's see if it's Muriel. Full stream ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if it's Miss Muriel.
The time is 11:39.
There she is, my girl.
And we are now just 17 minutes away from liftoff for our 65th Electron launch. We are back just over 3 weeks from our previous Electron mission from Rocket Lab's Launch Complex 1 on yet another beautiful day on New Zealand's east coast. Good morning and welcome to the launch of our next Electron mission called Full Stream Ahead for real-time space-based intelligence company BlackSky. Thank you for joining us. My name is Prachi Saknani and I'm a systems engineer on the space systems team.
And I'm Hannah Jury and I'm a systems engineer in the Neutron team. We are super excited to be joining you today to send another Electron to space. Today's mission for our customer BlackSky is headed to a 470-kilometer circular low Earth orbit with Gen 3, a new series of spacecraft that will join their constellation of Earth imaging satellites already on orbit. Some of those satellites were placed there on previous Electron missions, stretching all the way back to 2019, when Electron launches were still in their single digits.
Today's mission is our 10th overall launch for BlackSky, with a lineup of more missions scheduled to take place over this year and next to continue building out BlackSky's constellations. Their Gen 3 satellites, including the one going to space today, will be deployed from a Rocket Lab motorized light band, a separation system for satellites that we've provided to BlackSky for each of its launches on Electron. Here's more from BlackSky about their mission.
The drone's freaking out.
Hindsight is 20/20. Foresight is a superpower. BlackSky. Today, the speed of space-based intelligence meets the urgency of the moment. Unexpected events around the globe suddenly and dynamically alter relationships with allies and adversaries, force rapid national security decisions, and impact the health and safety of entire populations.
Wow, look at that washout.
That's why BlackSky is relied upon to be fast, focused, and flexible. Immediate insights are only possible when monitoring is both very frequent and very fast. Our unconventional satellite orbits and AI-driven automation help you get answers in minutes. It's real-time tactical intelligence that rapidly pinpoints changes, patterns, and anomalies. Intelligence only matters when it's deeply relevant to you. This is the industry's only purpose-built platform for dynamic monitoring, not static mapping. It's powered by multiple inputs in space, online, and on the ground. And to enhance the relevance of your outputs, data is automatically analyzed at machine speed. Our platform is flexible and highly intuitive, even easy to master. We give you the power to task satellites anonymously and securely, and to fully control the observation in your areas of interest. This is always-on, space-based intelligence in your hands. When you need to act, not just fast, but first, harness the power of a superpower. BlackSky.
Right here first. Those people that are wondering, Palantir
Constellation building requires flexibility and control over how, when, and where your satellites are deployed. And that's a service we're glad to provide to BlackSky once again with today's latest launch.
Alrighty, we are at T-minus 13 minutes in the countdown now. Let's get an update from the mission control team as when they run their go, no-go poll for today's launch. Our operators in mission control will soon report with a go or no-go depending on the readiness for launch. They will evaluate everything from the payload status and the rocket's environmental conditions to propellant tank levels and whether or not the skies will remain clear for liftoff.
That's right, and from range control in Mahia, our operators there will report on the range's readiness and Launch Complex 1's ground systems to confirm the pad is ready for liftoff. All operators report up to the launch director in charge of operations, and today in mission control, our launch director is Julia Vembacher. Let's tune in now to the poll as that status update gets underway.
Yeah, BlackSky is a former SPAC, and with that, Palantir invested in 2021 to be able to help upstand and give them a little bit of revenue and invest in the company, provide them with an operating system. And since then, BlackSky has become EBITDA positive over the past several quarters. I don't know if they're free cash positive because they do obviously have to spend capital expenditure.
We are proceeding now with the go, no-go sequence stage.
to be able to put satellites up. But let's listen to the go and go.
Avionics is go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
Recon.
Recon is go.
T1.
T1 is go.
GC.
GC is go.
PLS.
PLS is go.
RSO.
RSO is go.
MET.
Met is go.
Matt is go.
MM.
MM is go.
And LD sub.
LD SEP is go.
The go-no-go sequence is complete. We are currently T-minus 11 minutes and 24 seconds and counting. We are go for the terminal count auto sequence at T-minus 10 minutes. From this time, the freeware procedure is in effect.
Have a good evening, Miss Julie. Actually, interesting thought that I want to state. The rocket is actually
clock
black.
is continuing, and we are go for launch today for our 65th Electron mission.
The rocket's
We are
actually
at
black,
T-minus 11
and so
minutes
what
of
you're
counting
seeing in
and
that
splitting
white,
us
you
up
can
for
see
a
kind of
launch
like the
attempt
gases that
right
are
at
kind of flowing off.
11:57 a.m. local time, or
Part of that's
11:57
obviously the
p.m.
condensation
UTC.
from
Now, if we need to delay
the
for any
cooling
reason, today's
that
launch
you're
window
actually putting in
extends
here.
until 2
So
more hours.
that's actually
And
frost
without mission a beat, it's full stream ahead for
around the
BlackSky's
outside.
next Data with Destiny. For
You can kind of
today's
see if you
10th
zoom
launch
in,
for
you
our
can see
mission
kind of like the
partners, we
icicle
might be running out of toes,
on it.
but not out of mission names.
Pretty cool.
Today's launch will deploy another Gen 3 satellite to orbit, which adds another 35-centimeter spatial resolution to BlackSky's imaging capabilities and improves on their already very high-resolution offerings to their customers. It's been quite a ride we've had with BlackSky, and today is no exception as we launch more of their spacecraft to orbit.
Speaking of launches, let's take a look at Electron on the pad at LC-1, our workhorse launch vehicle that puts the rocket in Rocket Lab. Electron is a two-stage-to-orbit, liquid-fueled launch vehicle designed specifically for small satellite missions. It's made from carbon composite material, which is a strong but lightweight structural material that gives Electron that sleek black look. There are 10 Rutherford engines across Electron, 9 engines at the bottom of the first stage, and a 10th with a larger nozzle designed.
What you're seeing, the white, is the liquid oxygen.
Are 3D printed and electrically powered by batteries. With a 3D printed combustion chamber, injectors, pumps, and main propellant valves, Rutherford has the most 3D printed components of any rocket engine in the world.
That's right. There's also what we call a kick stage, which sits at the top of the rocket within the fairing. This is a stage that deploys the mission satellites to their orbital placement within the constellation. The kick stage is highly precise at delivering satellites to space thanks to its onboard propulsion system called Curie, which has a miniature nozzle that's about the height of a small coffee mug. Curie is highly maneuverable and can deliver satellites to their targeted position within single-digit kilometers, which is just incredible accuracy within the vastness of space when you're moving at more than 28,000 kilometers an hour. The kick stage and Curie engine are so integral to Electron's reliability that we've flown them on all but one Electron launch. Outside of launch, the kick stage has been foundational to the spacecraft family of spacecraft that we build and operate today. A modified version of the kick stage and its propulsion system, known as Hypercurie, were in fact the basis of our spacecraft for a mission we sent all the way to the moon for NASA back in 2022 called Capstone.
Interesting. So no, I do not own any BlackSky, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad opportunity. I know some folks are very against it. I think they think that management gives themselves way too many shares, which I could understand. But at the same time, share-based compensation is kind of important sometimes. Got to keep the companies alive and going. Curious to see if they give any updates on Neutron. We do have about 7 minutes and 30 seconds before we tip off. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Almost 90 of us. Now we're just peaked over 90 on the live stream. Much appreciated here on a Monday evening, just under 7 p.m. here, Central Time.
65 launches in, and we never get tired of checking out these views of Electron. We have now just 7 minutes left on the countdown clock. While we wait, let's check out the progress of our newest launch and landing pad under construction on the opposite side of the world in Virginia.
Launch Complex 3 within the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport on Wallops Island will soon be home to our medium-lift rocket Neutron. LC3 is close to being finished ahead of our new rocket's debut launch later this year. Let's check it out.
My name is Sean DeMello. I'm the Vice President of Neutron Development here
He's
at
got a
Rocket Lab.
thick beard.
LC3 is located at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport at the Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. We chose Wallops for Neutron largely because it is a site that has an immense launch capacity and availability. There are a very few number of operators. In fact, we're the only ones operating out of Wallops right now going to orbit. So it is a very favorable choice for a new launch vehicle requiring a lot of launch availability. The Wallops is unique for Rocket Lab in the fact that we can launch Electron, HASTE, and Neutron all within the same overall launch complex itself. And we've got adequate propellant storage that allows us to turn around vehicles 24 hours apart. We have a lean and mean team out of Wallops who've done everything from designing the systems on the launch pad through to now actively constructing it and operating it. Here on out, our objectives are to complete all the system activation and performance test against all our test objectives. Once that's completed, the site is ready for a rocket and will be operational. And with construction and activation in full swing right
water?
now, we look forward to opening the
Who'd
pad
have
here
thought?
this summer.
I never knew they had water. Thought it was scarce in those parts.
Things are looking great on the Eastern Shore with LC3, and hopefully you were able to catch that quick view of our second Electron launch site, Launch Complex 2, that sits right next door to Launch Complex 3. I can't wait for the day we have both pads activated and 2 rockets ready to go at the same time from Wallops Island, Virginia. That's the dream.
Oh, is this the
Right
B
now,
pad or
though,
is this
back
the
to
A
New
pad?
Zealand, where we are getting closer to liftoff with our partners at BlackSky. We are now just in the final moments of the count with only 5 and a bit minutes remaining until launch. Soon, our launch operators will be checking in with the near final status updates. From T-minus 2 minutes, the first call will be to confirm that Electron is on internal power. This means the rocket is circulating its own power supply instead of drawing from an external source.
Guys,
The call out
is this
also
pad A or
means that
pad B?
Electron's flight computer has taken over the countdown and is handling the final pre-launch procedures, ensuring precise
Oh, look at the
timing
ice
and
crystals.
coordination for liftoff right at that T0 mark. The next call out will be to talk about AFTS, which is our automated flight termination system. This means that the rocket's guidance system for launch safety is activated and its telemetry systems are verified to be transmitting data accurately to mission control. After that, we can expect to hear confirmation that Electron's liquid oxygen propellant loading is complete and that the system is in circulation inside the vehicle. Soon after that will come the call that Electron's tanks are pressed for flight. This means
wow,
the
I'm
system
so
is fully
excited.
pressurized and ready for launch.
Super excited. Like,
Then you'll hear
I
high
think
flow
after
engine
65
purge
launches,
is
and I've
enabled.
watched
By this
since, I think,
stage,
launch
Electron's
17,
Rutherford engines are primed
just
and
a
ready,
handful.
and final actions are taking place to ensure
like
they'll
almost
ignite
50
right
launches,
on time.
you'd think I'd be
Next,
like,
the
meh.
launch director will remind operators of our position in the countdown, usually at around 20 seconds to launch.
Yeah, guys, I think this
before
is
speaking
pad
again
B
to count down to liftoff from T-minus 10
at Launch
seconds.
Complex 1.
Then we'll be on our way to space for our 65th launch. All right, we're bringing up the audio channels now for mission control to listen into that countdown in real time, and we'll be back with you shortly after liftoff.
So, sorry if I'm like making a hype about it. They don't do many launches from Pad B. Scott would be able to tell me when's the last time. They did one rather recently on Pad B, but the majority of the launches have been happening on A, Pad
To all
A.
operators, LDL mission code. From now on, there should be no red flags on your critical LCCs. Recon LD on mission code.
LD Vicon.
Recon lock the auto sequence and confirm.
Auto sequence is locked.
And Recon confirm all flight computer ASCIIs are green.
Confirmed.
To all operators, we are go for auto sequence start at T-minus 2 minutes. LDs go for launch.
Yeah, I want to say they show it. Let me see if they showed it on Twitter. It was A or B. Forecast 20 minutes ahead. Launch Complex 1A Rocket Lab. images.
Vehicle is fully on internal power. AFTS is
Yes.
green and enabled for flight.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is pad B, because you can see in the background on the right-hand side, you can see the other part of the island, the Mejia Peninsula, that doesn't like jet out, versus pad A, which you can't see any other land behind it. So you're kind of facing, I'm going to get it wrong. So you're facing like south-south
Box load is complete. System is
west-ish,
in recirculation.
versus pad A, the camera would be facing strictly west. Yeah, dude. We all learned a part of this. Luckily, we have great people we've invested in. Great people, great team. Pete, Adam. I want to get a chat with Frank in here sometime. If anyone from Rocket Lab's listening, I'd love to get an opportunity to sit with Frank. Yeah, so you can see kind of that runway.
Stage 2 tanks are pressed for flight.
It's kind of offset. You can see that it would be kind of
engine purge enabled.
in the middle of that little thing, that little like jet out, but it's not. It's on the right hand side. Interesting. They're starting to do more from pad B. I'd have to understand if there's any efficiencies or anything. Thank you for 140 of you being here on YouTube, and maybe some of you guys on
20
Kick
seconds and counting.
and Twitch. I'm so excited.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Electron just click the pad, save the code systems.
We're getting Petrova.
It's liquid oxygen and kerosene. Believe it or not. So the liquid oxygen is why it's white. And you'll see when we kind of have like the side view, you'll see the ice.
Electron is full stream ahead for its 65th launch. Soon we'll be at maximum aerodynamic pressure as Electron continues to accelerate. And that max Q moment will be called out by the launch operators in mission control soon, so let's listen in.
Electron is supersonic. Approaching max Q.
High voltage battery discharge nominal.
Now,
Cleared max Q.
The fuel that's being used by the
Confirmation
Electron.
from Mission Control, we have successfully cleared max Q and are on track to reach the next milestone, MECO, or main engine cutoff, in approximately 90 seconds. We are now traveling at 2,500 kilometers an hour and have reached an altitude of 22.8 kilometers and climbing.
MECO on Electron requires 3 critical actions to occur.
Guidance is nominal.
First, the 9 Rutherford engines on the first stage, which are currently powering Electron, will shut down as scheduled. Second, the first stage will disengage and separate from the second stage, falling back to Earth. And then third and finally, the single Rutherford engine on the second stage will ignite and continue to propel Electron on its mission to orbit. Let's listen in for those calls from Mission Control.
So Electron's
Stage 1 propulsion holding nominal. Standby for MECO in 30 seconds.
liquid oxygen and kerosene. Neutron's actually, instead of kerosene, going to be utilizing liquefied natural gas, liquefied methane.
15 seconds to staging.
Entered burnout detect mode.
Yeah, Neutron's going to be something else.
MECO confirmed.
Stage separation confirmed.
Always get so nervous. There it is. All right,
Stage
we're
2
good.
mission confirmed.
Comms are in from Mission Control confirming a successful MECO, Stage SEP and Stage 2 ignition, and everything continues to look nominal for Electron. We are now approaching fairing jettison, where you should be able to see Electron's fairing halves split and fall away after they separate. Now that we're through the thick of the atmosphere, we no longer need this nose cone to protect BlackSky's satellite. So, to save us carrying dead weight, we jettison them ahead of payload deployment.
Guidance is nominal.
Watch out for those fairings on your screen shortly.
What they're talking about is they've separated from the stage 1, so it's the
Fairing
top
separation
third.
confirmed.
The top third of the rocket, and then you have kind of the top.
There go the fairing house, and from this view we can get a good look at BlackSky's Gen 3 satellite integrated onto the kick stage, exposed now to the conditions of space. Looks like the BlackSky team wrote a welcome to space message on their satellite as well. We are now reaching a velocity of over 8,800 kilometers an hour, passing through 138 kilometers in altitude.
Yeah, long LNG, my guys.
We've talked about how Curie is famous for its spot-on payload delivery, but what about the journey there? That's where our GNC, or Guidance, Navigation, and Control team, comes in. The GNC system onboard Electron processes a continuous stream of sensor data about the rocket's attitude or orientation, its altitude, and a whole bunch of other things right to the flight computer, which checks how far off we are from the planned flight path and makes tiny adjustments via the Rutherford nozzle positions and the Stage 2 reaction control thrusters.
Stage 2 propulsion holding nominal.
I want to say thank you for the 155 of you guys hanging out with me. You could be watching other streams. You could be watching this.
Electron is the
your own.
pioneer of many firsts, including
You're
the
hanging out with
first
me, hanging out with
battery-powered
the chat,
rocket
and I love
engine.
that.
The batteries
Appreciate
powering the engine on your screen are our third-generation high-voltage batteries, or HVBs. The batteries were redesigned from the ground up, including new cells, internal and external structures, and internal logic, but have been made to be a fit-in replacement for the previous high-voltage batteries. Much like a lot of Electron, the external structure is carbon composite and keeps the batteries pressurized because of the high voltage inside. The batteries also have better performance, meaning we now need fewer on stage 1.
And now it's time for a power shuffle with the hot swap of those Gen 3 HVBs up next.
Throttling down.
HVB discharge holding nominal, approaching hot swap in roughly 30 seconds.
Yeah, the battery thing I'm always kind of curious about, because they still kind of say that the limit for Electron's 300 kgs to orbit. What type of orbit, I guess, is kind of important there, but
Hot swap successful.
they've talked
Battery
about
jettison
a
confirmed.
couple percentage gains of being able to lift a little bit more because they've been able to simplify that
Mission
battery.
control there with confirmation of a successful hot swap. We are now 6 minutes and 48 seconds into the mission and traveling at 15,700 kilometers per hour. All is nominal for Electron and its Gen 3 payload.
HVB discharge holding nominal.
All right,
AFTS
T
has
plus 7 minutes and 16 seconds into the mission, and Electron is continuing at full stream. Our stage 2 burn has about 90 seconds remaining, and if you glance over to the right of your screen, we're sitting at about 25% of kerosene and LOX propellant remaining. Right now, 25.8 kilonewtons of thrust are cruising us along at over 18,500 kilometers an hour, shortly bound for the orbital velocity number that we're looking for, right around the 28,000 kilometers an hour.
So I'm no expert when it comes to pumps, but I think that because you're using two liquid fuels that are hypercooled, that I believe the Neutron will use a turbo pump, and it won't use an electric pump.
A quick speed and altitude
The power
check for the
Archimedes.
mission. We are now reaching 23,000 kilometers per hour with an altitude of 205 kilometers and climbing. That means we're nearing the end of the second stage's journey with second engine cutoff on the horizon. During SECO, the single Rutherford engine will shut down, followed by the separation of the kick stage with its BlackSky payload into a transfer orbit. Let's listen out for that call now.
So yeah, so when I'm reading here, there's going to be a hot gas from a pre-burner that then uses
SECO confirmed.
to power the
Stage separation confirmed.
the turbo pump.
Nominal transfer orbit achieved.
Mission Control has just announced yet another flawless SECO and confirmation that the kick stage has successfully separated and has entered its coast phase around Earth. That was the most energy-consuming part of our launch over with, but we're not done yet. The coast phase will last approximately 40 more minutes or so before the kick stage gets ready to light up its Curie engine and change its trajectory to a circular orbit at 470 kilometers above Earth.
For now, we're going to take a quick break while the Curie engine travels around to the other side of the globe. For the next 40 minutes or so, you can track the mission's progress around Earth with this tracking animation. After we return, we'll run you through a little more detail on the innovative Curie engine and its payload deployment for BlackSky's Gen 3 satellite. We'll see you back here shortly.
All right. I always like this new graphic that they have as well. I'm going to mute this because that will get me demonetized, which is fine, to be honest. Interesting. Hang out for a little bit. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to hang out all 40 minutes to wait. I do have to run and do some things. It was nice to be able to stream the close briefly today, and then also Rocket Lab, more the 65th launch for BlackSky Gen 3, full stream ahead. The music is I don't know if it's copyright free because I've gotten demonetized from it before. Some of it might be. Some of it might not be. So I'll have to double check, but there's been previous unfortunate streams that have gotten demonetized because of the music. If this isn't bullish for Rocket Lab, I don't know what it is. This was sick. Felt like I was watching the SpaceX launch. It's interesting, man. We are actually having a good conversation. Everyday astronaut made it. Okay. Because I've gotten demonetized before. I'll have to go back and double check. But what was I going to say? We're having this conversation over the weekend about how the Starship will potentially make the Falcon 9 obsolete. And the thought process might be that by 2028, 2029, Falcon 9 is actually going to potentially go away. And I guess I'm curious what that ends up meaning for Neutron. And I think another piece of it, though, as well, is how much can they get the Starship cost down to? Right now, they can get the Falcon 9 launching 20-25 times per booster. So in that respect, you have really good cost recovery on each individual booster that you kind of purchase and build. So very curious to see what kind of initial costs you're going to be able to get out of the Falcon Heavy / Starship, because you can lift a lot more. And so with that, if you're able to lift a lot more and you have the need for it, obviously using the Starship would be great. But if you only need to launch 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms into space, you could just potentially use the Neutron. And if the Falcon 9 disappears, then maybe it's the only game in town. And how that monopoly that they had for medium launch now gets sent to Rocket Lab. So I'm kind of curious to see how that works out in the long run. But from what people are telling me, the Starship is eventually supposed to lower costs even more so incrementally. Whether that means on a dollar per kilogram basis, obviously, is very important, because if you're still thinking it's going to be $100 million a launch, $75 million a launch, yes, if you were to maximize the capacity of that rocket, then on a dollar per kilogram basis at 75 million, of course it's going to be more efficient than the Neutron. But like I said, if you're only flying 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms, it's still going to be more efficient to do it utilizing the Neutron. So, because I think there was an article I wrote recently, and I forget who the study was, but basically I cited the fact that you're talking 70 to 75 million for a Falcon 9 launch, and the majority of the non-Starlink payloads were about 3,200 kilograms. And so, if you think about it in that perspective, if you were to kind of get the cost, I forget what it was, but it was like you're basically paying $20,000 per kilogram with the Falcon 9 versus 16,000. So if you're to only be launching like 3,000 or 3,500 kilograms, you're going to be able to charge 20%, maybe even more, for Falcon 9, meaning it's actually cheaper to go with the Neutron. Now, of course, if you need that extra 15 to 20,000 kilogram capacity, then unfortunately you'd have to go with the Falcon 9, unless you wanted to use Neutron as fully expendable, which, depending on what your company objectives are, what have you, you might not want to do that. Some people are very much into making sure that they try to remain as carbon neutral as possible. So, anyway, I appreciate you all. I would love to stay for the next 40 minutes. I know people have ridiculed me in the past because I'm like a fair weather guy, but it's hard to fill 40 minutes of airtime and not try to fill it with other pieces that are non-Rocket Lab related. And so appreciate it. And generally speaking, once they get the successful payload deployed, it's a very quick stream after that. Generally speaking, it's 40 minutes of waiting. They say successful payload, we'll see you next time, and it's like maybe a minute and a half at the end. So people have given me crap because I don't want to hang around. I get it. We've already been going about 40 minutes or so, but as always, I think the most important part is hey, the hard part I think is done. They got it into space, and generally speaking, these guys, once they get it into space, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong in this. I'd love somebody to correct me. Once they've gotten into orbit, I want to say that they have 100% mission success. Knock on. So there have been 4 failures out of those 65 launches. There was the first one, which was kind of an error. We had the one in September 2023, which was the arcing of the second stage. I forget what the second one was, but man, we're approaching really good metrics in that respect. Let me see. 4 divided by 65 minus 1. Whoops, plus 1. So we're at pretty much a 94% success rate in climbing. So unfortunately, it'll take, to get us back up to 99%, 4 divided by 0.99. Yeah. To get us to 99% success, you're going to need over 400 launches. So we got some time between now and then. But still on track, my boys and gals. The last thing I probably could show you, because this is something I track, and you guys can update it with me, is my sheet that I like to keep associated with Electron cadence. And how it's looking. So we're on the race to 100 launches. You can see kind of Falcon 9 versus Electron. And where are we now? Six to 2025. I guess technically it's 6-3, huh? For them. This is number 65. Days till since last launch. 17 days between last launch. 21 in the average. This is what we're looking like. So we've seen a slight uptick in the amount of days between, which is fine. As long as we kind of stay in this below 25, I think we'll be okay. So I think the goal, work with me here, the goal is to get about 20 launches this year. So 365 divided by 20. The hope is to get a cadence of around 18 days between launches. That's kind of where we're at so far. So we're kind of there, you know. Where are we right now? So yeah, I mean we're getting close, right? We were last year this time, like end of last year before we really started ramping it up. It was, you know, in the 30s. So now we're kind of trailing off here. In the 20s. So if we can stay here, then maybe get a leg down, and you know, you need a cadence of 36 launches per year to get it down to this next line. So it's going to take some time. I mean, you have to keep in mind this is all the way dating back to 2017. So with the blue dots being the actual launches themselves, the red dot, I should make this probably a line, the red dots instead, to kind of show that it's like an average and goes in between. But hey man, things are looking healthy. Things are looking healthy. And I'm trying to think. We are in 2025. Hoping to get one Neutron. We're in Electron 2025. I'm still assuming we're going to get to 21 launches this year. Versus the Falcon 9 this many years in 2018 got to 20. So even if we're able to match it, you know, we'll be okay. We'll beat it because at that point we'll be able to get to 100 launches. Potentially by next year, ladies and gentlemen. Potentially by next year. So if we're able to maintain a decent cadence of around 18 to 19 days between launches, and we're able to get 21 launches this year, 21, 22 launches next year, we should be able to get 100 launches, in which will get us a year ahead of Falcon 9. So you see Falcon 9, it took till year 10 to get to 100 launches. So if we're able to get it to year 9, and some people might say, you know, you're comparing apples to oranges, etc. But cool. All right. Well, people dropping off, probably getting dinner, end of the day, and appreciate the folks showing up on Kick as well. It's a new opportunity. First time streaming on Kick today. Miss Kelly, hello. Thank you. Much appreciated everybody chiming in. Had over 100 people at its peak. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the evening, and we'll see you for the next launch, hopefully in a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.